If you've ever walked into a 24-hour laundromat at 3 in the morning, you know the vibe. It's a liminal space, the smell of cheap lavender detergent fighting a losing battle against damp mold. The rhythmic, hypnotic thump, thump, thump of a heavy-duty dryer. It's where people go when they have nowhere else to be or when they've made a mess they can't wash away at home. My name is Leo. 6 months ago, I was staring at a pile of unpaid student loans and a mountain of rejection letters. So when my Uncle Arthur offered me the night shift at his place, Spin and Span in South Chicago, I didn't ask questions. He offered me $25 an hour under the table. In this economy, I would have washed clothes for Dracula himself. Turns out, that joke wasn't too far off the mark. Spin and Span looks like every other run-down laundromat during the day. Sticky linoleum floors, rusty vending machines selling stale Cheetos, and tired mothers watching their kids scribble on coloring books. But at midnight, Uncle Arthur's real clientele rolls in, and they aren't here to wash denim. My first night, Arthur didn't hand me a manual on customer service. He handed me a shotgun shell filled with salt, a jar of what looked like crushed brick dust, and a handwritten list of 3 rules. Read them, memorize them, don't ask stupid questions, he'd said, chewing on an unlit cigar. The list was short. 1. Never look directly into washer number 13 when the spin cycle is running backwards. 2. If a customer pays in coins that feel too cold, do not put them in the register. Drop them in the bucket of holy water under the counter. 3. If you hear wet scratching from inside the dryer vents, turn the heat to max and walk away. I thought it was some elaborate prank, a hazing ritual for the new guy. But around 12:45 a.m., the neon open sign buzzed and the heavy glass door swung open. The first customer was a tall man wearing a thick wool trench coat. It was July, mind you, and Chicago was roasting in an 85-degree humid heat wave. He walked with a stiff, unnatural posture, his boots leaving dark, muddy smears on the floor. He didn't look at me. He just walked straight to washer number 13. I watched from behind the bulletproof glass of my counter. He pulled something from a black plastic trash bag. It looked like a heavy, dark red blanket. Except, it was dripping. Thick, dark fluid pooled onto the linoleum. It didn't smell like detergent. It smelled like copper, like an open wound. The man stuffed the blanket into the washer, slammed the door, and inserted 3 silver dollars. I stared at the coins from across the room. They weren't quarters. They looked ancient. As the machine started, the water filling the drum immediately turned a deep, rust-colored red. And then, the drum started spinning counterclockwise. I remembered rule number 1. Never look directly into washer 13 when the spin cycle runs backwards. I forced my eyes down to my phone. But the sound. Oh God, the sound was impossible to ignore. It wasn't the sound of sloshing water. It sounded like wet hands clawing frantically at the glass, accompanied by a low, desperate whispering that seemed to vibrate right through the soles of my sneakers. You'd be surprised how fast the human brain adapts to the impossible when you need to pay rent. Within a month, I got used to it. I learned that the tall man in the trench coat was a cleaner for the local vampire covens. He brought in their soiled linen to wash away the evidence. The supernatural world, it turns out, has a lot of laundry. Then there was Maeve. She was a regular on Tuesday nights. Maeve looked like a beautiful young woman, except her eyes were completely black, and her fingers ended in long, obsidian claws. She was some kind of forest spirit, or maybe a banshee. She'd bring in delicate gossamer gowns woven from spider silk and river mist. "Make sure you use the delicate cycle, sweetie," she'd hiss, her voice sounding like dry autumn leaves scraping across a driveway. "If you shrink this, I'll have to take your breath as payment. Gentle cycle, cold water, extra fabric softener." "Got it, Maeve," I'd reply, keeping my voice as flat and professional as possible. The key to surviving this job is treating them like normal, annoying retail customers. If you show fear, they feed on it. If you treat them like a nuisance, they respect the boundary. But then came the night I almost didn't make it to sunrise. It was a rainy Thursday, around 3 a.m. The shop was empty, save for the hum of the machines. I was sweeping up some spilled detergent when I heard it. Scratch, drag, scratch. It was coming from the back wall, where the massive industrial dryer vents connected to the building's exhaust system. I froze. Rule number 3. If you hear wet scratching, turn the heat to max and walk away. I hurried to the control panel and cranked the temperature on dryer number 4 to super high. But as I turned to walk away, the metal vent cover on the wall didn't just rattle, it buckled. Something heavy slammed against it from the inside. Thud. The screws holding the vent cover to the wall began to twist and pop out one by one. Through the gap, I smelled it. The sickening stench of wet dog, rotten meat, and burnt hair. A pale, multi-jointed hand, gray and slick with grease, squeezed through the opening. The fingers were too long, bending in ways human fingers shouldn't. It was a grave feeder. A creature that lives in the dark spaces beneath the city, drawn to the laundromat by the scent of the organic residue left behind on the vampire clothes. My heart hammered against my ribs. The creature was pulling itself out. Its hollow, milky white eyes locked onto me, and it let out a wet, clicking hiss. I didn't run. If I ran, it would hunt me. Instead, I reached into my pocket and grabbed the jar of crushed brick dust and the salt-filled shotgun shell Uncle Arthur had left me. I unscrewed the jar with shaking hands, poured a thick line of red brick dust across the threshold of the back room, and threw a handful of salt directly at the creature's face. The moment the salt hit its skin, it sizzled like water on a hot skillet. The creature shrieked, a sound like tearing metal, and retreated back into the vent. I slammed a heavy iron cart against the opening, poured a circle of salt around the wheels, and backed away, gasping for breath. By 6 a.m., the rain had stopped, and the sun was beginning to peek over the Chicago skyline. Uncle Arthur walked in, took one look at the dented vent cover and the salt on the floor, and nodded. "Good job, kid," he said, tossing a $100 bill onto the counter. "You kept the place clean." I took the bill, pocketed it, and grabbed my jacket. I still work at Spin and Span. The pay is too good, and honestly, regular retail seems boring now. But if you ever find yourself in South Chicago late at night and you need to do a quick load of wash, do yourself a favor. Check the washers. And if you see washer 13 spinning backwards, keep your eyes on the floor. Thanks for listening. If you want to hear more stories from the night shift, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and tell me in the comments. What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen in a 24-hour shop?